The morning sun rose over the sprawling city, casting long shadows across the launch platform. Elena Rivas walked slowly along the edge of the platform, her boots echoing softly on the metal floor. The Aetheris stood before her, a massive ship unlike anything the world had ever seen. Its hull shimmered faintly, reflecting the light in a way that made it seem almost alive. Engineers and scientists hurried around the ship, checking instruments, adjusting panels, and exchanging anxious words. Every step Elena took felt heavier, not from exhaustion, but from the weight of expectation pressing down on her shoulders. For years, she had dedicated herself to this project. She had spent sleepless nights designing the ship's frame, running calculations about gravity, and refining the experimental graviton field that was the heart of the Aetheris. Every person who had doubted her, politicians, skeptics, even colleagues, had said the same thing. The ship would collapse under its own weight the moment it tried to leave Earth. But today, the world was about to witness what she already knew was possible. Elena stopped for a moment and looked at the massive engines, their surfaces smooth and silent. Unlike conventional rocket engines, these emitted no smoke, no roar. They were powered by the graviton field, a technology she and her team had developed in secret. It could bend gravity, not fight it, allowing the ship to rise with minimal energy expenditure. The idea had seemed impossible when it was first proposed, but years of experimentation, testing, and refinement had led to this moment. "Captain Rivas, the systems are ready for launch," said Dr. Malik, her second-in-command, his voice carrying both excitement and nervousness. He was tall and thin, with a habit of fidgeting with his glasses whenever he was anxious. Elena nodded. "Good. Begin final diagnostics. I want to see every parameter before we start the countdown." Malik moved to the control console, his fingers flying over the holographic interface. Lights blinked, graphs shifted, and soft alarms confirmed that all systems were operational. Elena felt a surge of pride. This ship was more than metal and circuits. It was a symbol of human ingenuity, proof that with enough determination and intelligence, humanity could achieve what had once seemed impossible. Outside the platform, a crowd of journalists and spectators had gathered. News drones hovered silently, broadcasting the launch to millions around the world. Skeptics and critics had come too, eager to witness the failure they were certain would come. But Elena ignored them. She had learned long ago that doubt was a companion to progress. 5 minutes to launch," Malik announced. Elena took a deep breath and stepped closer to the ship. Her hand brushed against the cool metal hull. She could feel the faint vibration of the engines, the pulse of energy held within the ship. She closed her eyes for a moment and remembered why she had started this journey. Not for fame, not for recognition, but for the possibility of something greater, something that could change humanity's destiny. The countdown began. 10, 9, 8. The voices of the control team echoed across the platform, calm and steady. Elena's heart raced. This was it, the culmination of years of work. She watched as the graviton field slowly activated, a faint shimmer appearing around the ship. It was invisible to most, but to those who knew what to look for, it was a sign that the impossible was happening. 3, 2, 1. Ignition. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the ship shuddered, its hull quivering under the pressure of gravity. Engineers held their breath. Spectators gasped. Cameras zoomed in, capturing every moment. The ship trembled violently, bending slightly as if struggling to break free from the invisible chains of Earth itself. Elena felt a flash of fear. The calculations had predicted some stress, but the ship was moving exactly as it should. She took a step back, steadying herself, and watched as the Aetheris began to rise. Slowly at first it hovered, suspended in defiance of all expectation. Then it surged upward, gaining speed with a grace that seemed impossible. The crowd erupted. Cheers, gasps, and cries of disbelief filled the air. News drones broadcast the scene worldwide, showing a human-made ship rising effortlessly, defying every law of physics. Skeptics looked on, unable to comprehend what they were seeing. Malik's voice came over the comm, tense but excited. "Captain, the graviton field is holding. Stress levels are normal. We're clear of the platform. We're actually flying." Elena allowed herself a small smile. "We always were, Malik. We just had to show them." As the ship climbed higher, the atmosphere responded strangely. The graviton field created distortions in the surrounding air, bending light and creating shimmering waves. Storm clouds that had been forming nearby suddenly dissipated, as if the sky itself recognized the significance of this moment. Inside the ship, Elena and her crew were focused but exhilarated. The control room was quiet, apart from the hum of the systems and the occasional click of a console. Engineers monitored the hull stress, the graviton output, and energy consumption. Everything was within predicted limits, yet the experience felt surreal. Humanity had never seen anything like this. "Look at that," said Malik, pointing to a live feed from an external camera. The earth below appeared vibrant and alive, its blue oceans and green lands stretching endlessly. Clouds swirled gently around the planet, creating patterns that seemed almost artistic. "We're really out here. We're actually flying." Elena nodded, feeling a deep connection to the world she had left behind. This ship was more than technology. It was hope. Hope that humans could rise above their limitations, that intelligence and courage could achieve the impossible. But even as they ascended, subtle signs of danger appeared. Electromagnetic interference rippled across their instruments, brief but sharp. The atmosphere around them seemed to react to the graviton field in unpredictable ways. Elena frowned. They had tested this extensively, but nothing could fully replicate the complexities of real-world conditions. "Captain," Malik said, his voice cautious, "we're seeing minor fluctuations in the graviton output. It's nothing critical, but it's unusual." Elena leaned forward, studying the readings. "Keep monitoring. Adjust the stabilizers if necessary. We can handle fluctuations. We were built for this." Outside, the ship passed through the lower layers of the atmosphere, the view becoming increasingly breathtaking. The curvature of the Earth appeared more pronounced with every meter gained. Sunlight glinted off the hull, creating a halo effect around the ship. It looked almost divine, rising effortlessly into space. Suddenly, a wave of light rippled across the horizon. Elena's eyes widened. The sky above the ship was alive with energy, shimmering streaks moving in patterns she had never seen. "What is that?" she whispered. Malik studied the instruments. "Electromagnetic anomalies, possibly linked to the graviton field interacting with the upper atmosphere. It's beautiful and dangerous." Elena nodded. "We expected some surprises. We didn't expect this, but we'll manage. We always do." The ship continued to climb, breaking through the stratosphere and entering the thin upper layers of the atmosphere. Gravity's pull weakened, but the crew could feel the strain of their acceleration. They had achieved something that many had said was impossible, yet the journey was far from over. Below them, the launch platform appeared tiny, a mere dot on the vast surface of the Earth. Spectators continued to watch in awe, their lives forever changed by the sight of humans defying gravity itself. Social media exploded with footage of the launch. News channels struggled to find words. Across the world, people whispered the same thought. If humans could achieve this, what else was possible? Inside the ship, Elena allowed herself a brief moment of reflection. The world had doubted her, mocked her, even tried to stop her. But she had shown them that courage, intelligence, and perseverance could overcome any obstacle. She looked at her crew, their faces lit by the soft glow of the control panels. They had trusted her, followed her vision, and now shared in this historic achievement. "Prepare for orbit stabilization," she said. "We're entering a region of turbulence. The graviton field will have to adjust dynamically. Everyone, stay focused." Malik's hands moved quickly over the controls, adjusting the field, monitoring energy levels, and ensuring the ship's integrity. Systems hummed in perfect synchronization, responding to the subtle changes in gravity around them. The crew worked in silence, their concentration absolute. As the ship stabilized in low orbit, Elena gazed out at the Earth. The planet was breathtaking from this height, a fragile blue marble suspended in the vast blackness of space. She felt a deep sense of accomplishment and responsibility. Humanity had taken a step forward, but the universe was vast, and the challenges ahead were unknown. A sudden alert blinked on the console. Elena frowned. "What now?" Malik checked the readout. Minor gravitational fluctuations outside predicted levels, possibly linked to the upper atmosphere. Nothing critical, but it's unusual. Elena nodded. "Keep monitoring. Document everything. This is data we can use for future missions." For a moment, the ship floated silently in orbit. The world below watched with bated breath, unaware of the subtle dangers that surrounded the ship. But for Elena and her crew, this was a moment of triumph. They had done the impossible. They had risen into space in a ship that should have collapsed under gravity, defying the limits of human knowledge and technology. As the sun rose higher, casting its light across the Earth, Elena allowed herself a small smile. The journey was just beginning, and the universe awaited. Humanity had proven that with courage, ingenuity, and determination, the impossible could become reality. The Aetheris was proof that humans could reach for the stars, and perhaps one day, touch them. The ship drifted silently, a symbol of human achievement, a beacon of hope for all who watched. And far below, on a planet that had doubted, mocked, and feared, people stared upward, imagining a future where humanity could rise, not just above gravity, but above every limitation ever placed upon them. Elena took a deep breath, feeling the hum of the graviton field beneath her. She whispered softly, more to herself than anyone else, "This is only the beginning." The Aetheris drifted silently above Earth, leaving behind the familiar blues and greens of the planet below. The curvature of the horizon stretched endlessly, and stars, sharp and bright, filled the black sky. For the crew, this was the first time they truly felt the enormity of space. Even after years of training, simulations, and theoretical studies, nothing could prepare them for the raw, breathtaking reality of orbit. Elena stood at the viewport, her hand resting lightly on the cool glass. She felt the subtle hum of the graviton field, a constant reassurance that the ship's experimental technology was holding steady. Malik approached quietly, his expression a mixture of awe and tension. "Captain," he said softly, "I've been monitoring the graviton field. It's stable, but we're detecting small fluctuations in the surrounding space, almost as if the field itself is interacting with something external." Elena's eyes narrowed. "External? Like what?" Malik shook his head. "I'm not sure. It's not natural, at least not what we know. The fluctuations are subtle, but they're there. They're intelligent, maybe." Elena's heart skipped a beat. The idea was astonishing. Space was vast and mostly empty, but if the field was interacting with an external intelligence, that would mean something or someone was aware of their presence. She turned her gaze outward, scanning the stars for anything unusual. For the first time, the quiet of space felt alive. "Keep monitoring," she said. "Let's not jump to conclusions. We've seen strange readings before. This might just be an anomaly." But deep down, Elena knew this was different. There was a pattern to the fluctuations, a rhythm that suggested awareness rather than chance. Inside the ship, the crew began their routine checks, Sensors scanned the surrounding space, recording particle densities, electromagnetic waves, and gravitational shifts. Even minor variations in the graviton field could have serious consequences. The Aetheris was sturdy, but the universe could be unpredictable. Hours passed, and the crew settled into a rhythm. Outside, the stars continued their silent march, and the Earth slowly rotated beneath them. The team spoke little, each member lost in thought, understanding the significance of their achievement. They were the first humans to leave the protective cradle of Earth in a ship designed to manipulate gravity itself. Every calculation, every experiment, every sleepless night had led to this moment. Then, without warning, a faint signal appeared on the sensors. At first, it seemed like random noise, a fluctuation in the background radiation. But as the instruments continued to record, a pattern emerged, a series of rhythmic pulses that repeated with precision. Elena leaned forward. "What is that?" Malik's eyes widened. "It's not random. These pulses, they're structured. They're communicating." The crew gathered around the console, studying the readings. The pulses seemed to interact with the graviton field itself, responding when certain adjustments were made to the ship's systems. It was as if the signal recognized the unique energy signature of the Aetheris. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "Are you saying it's intelligent?" Malik nodded slowly. "I don't know. But whatever it is, it's aware of us. And it's trying to communicate." The revelation filled the control room with a tense excitement. Humanity had expected to explore the stars, but they had not expected the stars to respond. The idea that some form of intelligence existed beyond Earth and had noticed them was both thrilling and terrifying. Elena took a deep breath. "Prepare a response, simple, clear, a pattern they can understand, and keep monitoring. We don't want to provoke anything accidentally." For the next several hours, the crew worked tirelessly. They constructed a series of gravitational pulses, sequences that mimicked the alien signal. When transmitted, the pulses seemed to cause a reaction. The signal returned, altered slightly, almost like a conversation. "This is incredible," whispered Malik. "They understand our energy signature and they're responding. It's like they're alive." Elena nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. If this intelligence could manipulate gravitational fields, it might have knowledge far beyond anything humans had ever imagined. And if they were willing to interact, the implications for humanity were enormous. As the hours stretched into days, the Aetheris drifted further into space. The Earth became a distant memory, a fragile blue dot in the darkness. The alien signal continued, sometimes subtle, sometimes more pronounced. The crew learned to interpret the pulses, recognizing patterns and repetitions. It was a slow, careful process, but progress was undeniable. Then, one day, the signal changed. It became more complex, more deliberate. It seemed to guide the ship, directing them toward an uncharted star system. Elena studied the readings with growing amazement. "They're leading us somewhere," she said. "Not threatening us, but guiding. They want us to follow." Malik frowned. "It could be a trap." Elena shook her head. "Or it could be an opportunity. We didn't come this far to turn back now." The crew prepared the Aetheris for the journey. The ship's graviton field allowed them to travel faster and more efficiently than conventional propulsion would allow. But even with this advantage, space was vast, and the unknown held dangers they could not predict. As they approached the coordinates indicated by the signal, anomalies began to appear. Gravity wells formed and vanished without warning. Time seemed to behave oddly. Clocks ticked normally inside the ship, but outside, sensors recorded subtle distortions. The crew felt an odd sensation, like the fabric of reality itself was bending around them. "Captain," Malik said, his voice tight, "we're entering a region with unusual gravitational activity. The readings are unpredictable. Elena studied the monitors. The graviton field was compensating, keeping the ship stable, but she knew they were venturing into territory no human had ever experienced. "Stay alert," she said. "Adjust the field dynamically. We can handle this. We must." The ship glided through the strange region, the anomalies bending light and warping the view of distant stars. It was beautiful, almost hypnotic, yet dangerous. One wrong adjustment could put the ship at risk. Hours passed, and the crew adapted to the strange environment. They followed the alien guidance carefully, trusting the intelligence that had communicated with them. Slowly, the uncharted star system came into view, a cluster of planets orbiting a star that shone with a color unlike any known to humans. Elena felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. They were on the brink of discovery, yet the unknown could be perilous. The alien intelligence had guided them here, but for what purpose? Observation? Communication? Or a test? As the ship entered the system, the signal changed again. It was no longer subtle or distant. It now surrounded them, enveloping the Aetheris in a web of gravitational pulses. The crew could feel the energy even through the ship's hull, a vibration that resonated with the graviton field. "This is incredible," Malik whispered. "They're interacting with the ship itself. The field and their signal are merging." Elena felt a shiver run down her spine. "We're being welcomed or challenged. Either way, we must proceed carefully." The ship continued toward the central planet of the system. From a distance, it appeared calm and uninhabited, but the gravitational pulses suggested intelligence and intention. The crew prepared for whatever awaited them, running final system checks and ensuring the Aetheris remained stable. Then, as they approached the planet, a phenomenon appeared unlike anything they had seen. Space around them seemed to fold, creating passages that bent light and gravity. The crew navigated carefully, trusting both the graviton field and the alien guidance. It was like moving through a living maze, each step precise and deliberate. Hours later, the ship emerged into an open area, a vast gravitational plateau orbiting the planet. The signals intensified, forming a complex pattern that seemed almost like architecture, an alien design built from the very fabric of space. Elena looked at Malik, awe in her eyes. This is a city made of gravity itself. They've shaped the universe to create structures. It's alive." Malik nodded slowly, unable to find words. The crew could only stare, their minds struggling to comprehend the magnitude of what they had discovered. Suddenly, a new series of pulses arrived, different from the previous ones. They were deliberate, almost like an invitation. The alien intelligence was signaling that the humans could approach closer, that they were being tested, but not in a hostile way. Elena took a deep breath. "Prepare for the next stage. We follow their guidance. Stay alert. Stay focused. This is humanity's first true contact with something beyond comprehension. Let's show them who we are." As the Aetheris advanced, the crew felt a mixture of fear and exhilaration. The universe was no longer empty. Humanity was no longer alone. They were on a journey that could redefine their understanding of reality, their place in the cosmos, and the potential of their species. Elena gazed out at the gravitational city, her heart steady despite the overwhelming sight. This was the moment they had trained for, dreamed of, and worked for. Humanity had risen above Earth, above gravity, and now faced a universe that was alive, intelligent, and infinitely more complex than they had imagined. She whispered softly, almost as if speaking to the universe itself, "We are here, and we are ready." The ship glided forward, guided by pulses of alien energy. Each second brought new revelations, challenges, and possibilities. The Aetheris had left the familiar world behind, carrying humanity into the unknown. And in that unknown, every human on board felt the thrill of discovery, the weight of responsibility, and the undeniable truth. They had proven that humanity could rise, adapt, and thrive, even in the face of the unimaginable. The stars stretched endlessly around them, but for the first time, they no longer seemed distant or cold. They were alive, responsive, and waiting. And humanity, through courage, intelligence, and determination, had taken its first true step into the greater universe. The Aetherius hovered in the gravitational city, a place that seemed alive in ways humans could barely comprehend. Structures of bending light and pulsing gravity stretched endlessly in every direction, forming towers, bridges, and pathways that floated in mid-space. The crew stared in awe, their minds struggling to make sense of what they were seeing. Elena stood at the viewport, her heart racing. "We've entered their domain," she said quietly. "Everything we see is part of them, their world, their intelligence. We have to be careful. One wrong move could destroy the trust we've built." Malik nodded, adjusting the graviton field to maintain stability. "They're observing us constantly. The signals, they change whenever we move, like they're testing us." "Testing us?" asked Rena, the ship's systems engineer, her voice tense. "What could they possibly want from humans?" Elena didn't answer immediately. She studied the patterns of the alien pulses, trying to discern intent. "They want to see if we are capable," she said finally. "Capable of understanding, adapting, and respecting their creation. They're not hostile, at least not yet, but they want proof that humans are worthy of interacting with them." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. This was no ordinary mission. They had left Earth to explore space, but now they were facing something beyond exploration. Something that could judge humanity itself. "Captain," Malik said, pointing to the monitors, "we're receiving a new set of pulses. It's more complex than before. It's like a maze, a sequence of gravitational challenges." Elena studied the display. "A test. They want us to navigate it. Malik, Rena, take charge. We need to respond carefully and precisely. Everyone else, stay alert." The Aetherius moved forward, guided by subtle variations in the gravitational field. The ship passed through floating rings of light that bent and twisted like molten glass. Each ring created localized gravity fluctuations, forcing the crew to adjust constantly. One wrong calculation could send the ship spinning uncontrollably. Rena's hands flew over the console. "I've got the first sequence, adjusting the field to compensate for the fluctuations." The ship tilted slightly, then stabilized. The crew held their breath. Every movement felt like a conversation with the alien intelligence, a negotiation in forces and energy that humans had never experienced before. As the Aetherius progressed, the challenges grew more complex. Gravity wells appeared suddenly, twisting the space around them. Light shifted and bent, making distances seem longer or shorter than they were. The crew realized that the intelligence was testing not only their technical skills, but also their perception, adaptability, and teamwork. Elena felt a sense of pride mixed with anxiety. Humanity was proving itself, but the alien intelligence was patient and meticulous. They were observing every decision, every reaction, and judging their worth. Hours passed. The crew worked in silent coordination, adjusting the graviton field, calculating trajectories, and interpreting the alien signals. Slowly, they began to understand the logic behind the patterns. It was not just a test of physics, it was a test of reasoning, ethics, and creativity. At one point, the ship was caught in a particularly dangerous gravitational trap. A massive vortex of distorted space threatened to pull them apart. Elena's heart pounded. "We need a solution now. Malik, Rena, any ideas?" Malik shook his head. "The usual calculations won't work. We need to think differently, intuitively." Elena took a deep breath. "The graviton field is adaptive. If we synchronize it with the fluctuations, we can ride the vortex instead of fighting it." It's risky, but it's the only option. The crew nodded, trusting her judgment. Malik adjusted the field, Rena monitored the ship's response, and Elena guided them through the sequence. The Aetheris quivered, tilted and spun, yet it held together. Slowly, carefully. It moved with the vortex, using its energy instead of resisting it. Finally, they emerged on the other side, unscathed. The crew exhaled in relief. Cheers and laughter erupted in the control room, but Elena stayed focused. We're not done yet. This was just one challenge. Keep your attention sharp. As they continued, the alien pulses became more interactive. The intelligence was no longer just observing. They were communicating, posing problems that required moral and ethical decisions. A section of the gravitational city blocked their path, filled with objects that appeared sentient. The signal suggested that harming or ignoring these entities would be a mistake. Elena studied the display. We need to navigate this carefully. We cannot cause damage or disturbance. Treat them as alive, even if they are made of energy. The crew moved the ship with precision, responding to the subtle cues in the alien pulses. Each choice mattered, and the intelligence adjusted the challenges accordingly. It was a test of respect, patience, and understanding, qualities that defined humanity at its best. Hours turned into a day, and then another. The crew grew fatigued, but they pressed on, determined to meet the expectations of the alien intelligence. Slowly, patterns emerged. The pulses suggested approval when they acted correctly and highlighted errors when they misjudged. Humanity was proving itself through ingenuity, empathy, and careful thought. Then came the ultimate challenge. The ship entered a massive gravitational chamber, a zone where the forces were extreme and unpredictable. The graviton field strained, the hull groaned, and every sensor was pushed to its limit. The crew realized that failure here could mean destruction. Elena's voice was calm but firm. We've come this far. We've faced everything they've thrown at us. We cannot fail now. Adjust the field to compensate for sudden shifts. Everyone focus. The chamber twisted around them, gravity wells appearing and vanishing in seconds. The ship rocked violently, systems warning of stress overload. Malik and Rena worked furiously, adjusting the field in real time. Elena guided them, making split-second decisions. Time seemed to stretch. The crew felt every second acutely, knowing that their actions would be judged. And then, just as suddenly as it began, the chamber stabilized. The Aetheris floated calmly, unscathed, as if the intelligence itself had acknowledged their skill. Elena allowed herself a small smile. "We did it," she whispered. The crew nodded, exhausted but elated. They had survived the ultimate test of human ingenuity and moral judgment. For the first time, the alien intelligence communicated in a way that was unmistakable. The pulses formed patterns that resonated with the graviton field in harmony, almost musical in nature. It was a signal of approval, recognition, and respect. Humanity had passed the test. Malik let out a breath he didn't realize he had been holding. They accept us. We've proven ourselves. Elena nodded. Not just proven ourselves. We've shown that humans are capable of understanding, adapting, and respecting life, even when it's unlike anything we've known. As they floated in the gravitational city, the crew realized that this was only the beginning. The intelligence had not only tested them, but had opened a door. Knowledge, technology, and understanding beyond anything humans had imagined were within reach. But with that knowledge came responsibility, a responsibility to act wisely, ethically, and with foresight. Elena walked to the viewport, gazing out at the alien structures. They pulsed gently, responding to the ship's presence. "We have a chance to learn," she said softly, "to grow, to prove that humanity can rise above fear, conflict, and limitation. And we will. We must." The crew gathered around her, united not only by their achievement, but by a shared understanding of their duty. They were ambassadors, explorers, and representatives of a species capable of extraordinary feats. And in this alien city, alive with energy and intelligence, they had demonstrated the best of what humans could be. As the day turned into night in the distant system, the Aetheris floated silently, a testament to human courage and ingenuity. The crew prepared for the next stage of their journey, aware that challenges would continue, but confident in their abilities. They had proven that humanity could rise to the occasion, even in the face of unimaginable forces. Elena took one last look at the alien city before returning to the control room. She felt a deep sense of pride, not just in herself, but in the crew and the species they represented. Humanity had earned a place in the universe, not through weapons or domination, but through intelligence, respect, and the courage to face the unknown. The signals from the alien intelligence shifted again, forming patterns that suggested guidance for the next part of their journey. The Aetheris would continue to navigate the system, learning and interacting, gaining insights that could transform Earth and human civilization. Elena smiled. "We're ready. Whatever comes next, we face it together. Humanity has proven its worth. Now we must show it can use that worth wisely." The Aetheris glided forward, entering new regions of the gravitational city. The alien pulses wrapped around the ship like a living embrace, guiding them through structures that defied human imagination. Every twist, turn, and adjustment was a lesson in physics, ethics, and perception. For the crew, the experience was both exhilarating and humbling. They had entered a world that was more advanced, more intelligent, and more alive than anything humanity had known. Yet they were not intimidated. They were determined, resourceful, and capable. They were human. And in the quiet moments when the ship floated between pulses of energy and the city shimmered in silent motion, Elena allowed herself a thought that filled her with hope. Humanity had not only reached the stars, they had proven it belonged among them. The journey was far from over. Challenges awaited, discoveries beckoned, and mysteries demanded understanding. But for the first time, the crew of the Aetheris knew they could face them. With courage, ingenuity, and respect, humanity could rise above the impossible, meet the unknown, and continue its journey among the stars. And somewhere in the vast expanse of the alien city, an intelligence observed, patient and wise, recognizing a species capable of growth, innovation, and understanding. Humanity had earned its place in the greater universe. The Aetheris had shown what humans could achieve, and the universe waited for them to take the next step. The Aetheris glided through the gravitational city with ease, the alien pulses guiding it toward the final section of the system. The crew had spent days navigating the city's challenges, learning to interpret the intelligent patterns of the graviton signals. Every moment had been a test of skill, patience, and morality, and every obstacle had strengthened their bond as a team. Elena stood at the viewport, gazing at the city's final expanse. It was larger and more intricate than anything they had encountered so far. Floating towers of bending light stretched infinitely in all directions, connected by bridges of energy that seemed to pulse with life. The hum of the graviton field resonated through the ship, in perfect harmony with the alien pulses, and Elena felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders once more. "We're approaching the core," Malik said, his voice tense but excited. "The signals suggest this is where they will offer their knowledge. This is it, Captain." Elena nodded, her eyes narrowing as she studied the patterns. "We must approach with care. This is not just about understanding. They are entrusting us with something. We cannot fail." The Aetheris moved forward, responding to the complex waves of energy that surrounded them. Every movement had to be precise, every adjustment calculated with care. One mistake could damage the ship, the graviton field, or the alien structures themselves. The crew worked in perfect synchronization, their hands flying over controls, their minds focused on interpreting and responding to the signals. As they neared the core, the pulses became more intense, almost like a heartbeat. Elena felt it resonate within her chest, a rhythm that seemed to echo through the ship. The entire crew experienced it. The sense that the city was alive, aware, and preparing to reveal something extraordinary. Then, the view ahead opened into a vast chamber, a space so immense it was difficult to comprehend. At the center floated a sphere of pure gravitational energy, radiating light and pulsing in harmony with the alien signals. It was the heart of the city, the source of its intelligence and power. Elena felt a thrill and a deep sense of humility. Humanity had reached the very core of an alien civilization, and it was offering knowledge without demand, without hostility. She understood that what they were witnessing was a gift, but also a test of how that gift would be used. "Prepare for interface," she said. "This is what we came for. Carefully connect the ship's graviton field to the core. We need to synchronize fully." Malik and Rena moved quickly, adjusting the field, calibrating the ship's systems to resonate with the alien energy. Lights and readouts flashed across the control panels, showing perfect alignment. Slowly, the Aetheris became one with the pulses, its hull glowing faintly as the graviton field harmonized with the intelligence of the city. A wave of information washed over the crew, not in words but in understanding. Concepts, ideas, and knowledge flowed through the ship's systems and into their minds. They comprehended advanced energy manipulation, the principles of gravity control far beyond human capability, and insights into interstellar navigation that defied conventional physics. This is incredible," Malik whispered, his eyes wide. "We're receiving knowledge directly. This is beyond anything humans have ever imagined." Elena nodded, her mind racing with the possibilities. "Yes, but we must be careful. We have the knowledge, but it must be used wisely. We cannot let this power be misused. Humanity is not ready for shortcuts. We must earn our progress responsibly." As they absorbed the information, the alien intelligence seemed to respond to their understanding. The pulses shifted, almost approvingly, and the sphere at the center of the city glowed brighter. It was as if the intelligence recognized their capability, their respect, and their willingness to learn without domination. Hours passed as the crew assimilated the knowledge. They recorded everything meticulously, knowing that what they carried back to Earth could change the course of human history. Every principle of energy control, gravity manipulation, and interstellar travel was documented carefully, with notes on ethical and responsible use. Finally, Elena stepped back from the viewport. "We've learned what we came for," she said softly. "It's time to return home. The intelligence has given us what we need. Now it's up to us to prove that we can use it wisely." Malik nodded. "Agreed. But the journey back may be just as challenging. We need to maintain the graviton field and ensure safe navigation through the city and the anomalies we encountered before." The Aetheris began its departure. Moving carefully through the gravitational pathways, the city responded subtly, guiding them with pulses that indicated the safest routes. It was a silent farewell, a gesture of trust from the alien intelligence. The crew felt a mixture of awe and gratitude. They had been welcomed into a realm beyond imagination and had earned respect through their actions, intelligence, and restraint. As they exited the city, the gravitational anomalies returned, but the crew navigated them with confidence. The Aetheris twisted and turned, riding the fluctuations rather than resisting them. Every challenge that had seemed impossible before now felt manageable, a testament to human ingenuity and the lessons they had learned in the alien system. Elena glanced at the monitors, observing the vast expanse of space that stretched before them. "We've proven that humanity can rise to the challenge," she said. "We've shown that intelligence, courage, and respect can carry us farther than fear and brute force ever could. And now it's time to share what we've learned, carefully and responsibly." The journey back to Earth was long, but for the crew, it was filled with a sense of purpose and hope. Every adjustment to the graviton field, every observation of the stars, every calculation reminded them of what they had achieved. They were no longer just explorers. They were ambassadors, carrying knowledge that could reshape civilization. When Earth finally came into view, a small blue and green sphere hanging in the darkness, the crew felt a mixture of relief and anticipation. Millions of people below were unaware of the extraordinary journey that had taken place. But Elena knew that humanity's future had been forever altered. "Prepare for re-entry," she said. "We must return safely and begin the work of sharing what we've learned. But we must do it carefully. Knowledge without wisdom can be dangerous." Malik adjusted the graviton field for atmospheric entry. The Aetheris began its descent, gliding smoothly through the upper layers of the atmosphere. Unlike conventional spacecraft, the ship did not burn or stress under friction. The graviton field absorbed and redirected the forces, allowing a controlled and gentle return. As they descended, news of the launch and the ship's orbit had spread across the world. Millions had watched the initial ascent, believing it to be a technological miracle. Now, humanity would learn that the crew had returned with knowledge beyond imagination. Evidence that humans could rise to the stars and earn the respect of an intelligence far older and more advanced than themselves. The Aetheris touched down on the platform with a quiet grace, its hull intact, systems humming gently. Engineers and officials rushed forward, but Elena raised her hand, signaling calm. The moment was monumental, not for celebration, but for reflection. Humanity had achieved something extraordinary, and it required wisdom to handle it. As the crew disembarked, journalists and scientists crowded around, eager for information. Elena addressed them calmly, her voice steady. "We have returned with knowledge that can change the course of human civilization. But we must use it responsibly. The universe is vast, intelligent, and capable of teaching us lessons we have only begun to understand. We have proven that humanity can rise, but with this rise comes responsibility." The crowd listened in awe, many realizing that this was not just a mission, it was a turning point in history. Humanity had left Earth, faced the unknown, and earned a place in the larger universe through courage, intelligence, and moral choice. In the following weeks, the crew worked with scientists and engineers across the globe, carefully sharing the knowledge they had received. New energy sources were developed, gravity manipulation technologies were studied, and the foundations for interstellar travel were laid. All of it was done with caution and ethical guidance, ensuring that humanity would not repeat mistakes of the past. Elena often reflected on the journey. They had faced challenges that had tested their minds, their morals, and their courage. They had learned to navigate not only space but the complex interplay between intelligence, ethics, and power. Humanity had risen above fear, skepticism, and limitation, proving that determination and intellect could overcome even the impossible. One evening, as she watched the stars from the launch platform, Elena felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The Aetheris stood behind her, a testament to human ingenuity, a symbol of what could be achieved when courage and wisdom worked together. The alien pulses that had guided them still echoed in her mind, a reminder that the universe was alive, intelligent, and patient. "This is only the beginning," she whispered softly. "Humanity has taken the first step. Now we must continue wisely and bravely." Across the globe, people looked up at the night sky with newfound wonder. The stars were no longer distant, cold points of light. They were destinations, challenges, and opportunities. Humanity had proven itself capable, not through dominance or force, but through intelligence, courage, and respect. The Aetheris would fly again, exploring new regions of space, guided by the knowledge and wisdom they had earned. And humanity, forever changed by the journey, would continue to rise, facing the unknown with confidence and hope. Elena smiled, feeling the pulse of the graviton field beneath her feet. She had seen what humans could achieve when they worked together, when they used their minds, hearts, and courage. She knew that the journey ahead would be long and difficult, but humanity was ready. The universe stretched endlessly before them, filled with mysteries, wonders, and intelligence waiting to be understood. Humanity had risen above Earth's gravity, above skepticism, and above doubt. They had proven that with courage, intelligence, and moral integrity, even the impossible could be achieved. And as the Aetheris rested on the launch platform, Elena looked to the stars and knew that humanity's journey had only just begun.